Welcome to the Feel Great with Kait podcast, where you'll learn how to master your health to achieve more in life. I'm your host, Kaitlin Borncamp, a CPA turned nutritional therapy practitioner. Together, we'll be unpacking powerful forces that are shaping your daily habits, providing effective ways to account for your health with practical strategies, and uncovering powerful insights to why your metabolic health is the key to fuel your energy, longevity, and success. My mission is to help more high achievers like you stop trading your health for your wealth. Let's dive in. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Feel Great with Kait podcast. It's so good to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to it. I know your energy and your attention is valuable, so I promise to always be a good servant of that and make these episodes for a high return on investment of your time. Deal? All right, let's dive in. In today's episode, I want to share with you and just speak on a really common topic that comes up, which is coffee, and something that most busy professionals may not realize, which is that your coffee that you're drinking could actually be what's causing and triggering some of your anxiety and jitters and brain fog, for the main reason that most coffees out there on the market are laden with microscopic mold, or what's called mycotoxins. So I'll get into that and a little bit of my personal story about how I figured this out and how I found it. And most importantly, super simple swaps that you can make to improve your coffee, improve your brain focus, and just have less anxiety. How does that sound? It sounds pretty easy to me. So first off, I want to share that this topic usually comes up because I ask most of my clients if they are currently drinking coffee. And I think most of us are, but even if you're not, you probably know somebody who is. So definitely share this with them if you have somebody else in your household that's a coffee drinker. And so I've drinking coffee on and off over the years, more heavily in recent years, which I'll tell you why that is. But if you're like me, I thought that coffee was just like any other sort of, thing you'd buy at the grocery store, where the highest quality, just kind of goes like conventional or organic. Maybe there's some local, some farming in there, and you just want to buy it from a small sourced farmer, single source farmer, I think it's called in coffee speak. And that's like the highest quality that you can get, right? And then you're good to go. I had no idea until a few years ago that the underlying parts of the coffee, I don't want to say ingredients because it's not an ingredient, but things that are in there, the compounds like mycotoxins, can actually lead to things like jitters, anxiety. And for me, it showed up a lot as like definitely this like anxious feeling, although it just felt more like scattered. It made it feel like the energy of the coffee was intense, way more intense. And I remember thinking back in college, and I would show up to class at like 8 a.m. with my little mug of coffee that I had made, and I would just be like full sweating through my shirt. So I stopped wearing gray. I stopped ever wearing gray shirts because I was like, I just sweat too much. Okay, I just cannot wear gray. I think even to this day, I really don't have that many gray shirts, although I really don't sweat as much anymore. So just funny story. But my point being is that I would drink coffee on and off over the years. It really wasn't until most recently, about 4 years ago, when I started following Dave Asprey, who is now known as sort of the godfather or the founder of what's known as Bulletproof coffee. And he was the one who was first bringing up the concept of mycotoxins in coffee. So if you have heard of it, Bulletproof coffee, just real quick, is basically where you put in a source of usually ghee or butter in the coffee. And then you also mix it with, traditionally it's MCT oil, which is medium chain triglycerides. It's a refined coconut oil. And then usually some sort of like collagen or cinnamon or something else that you want to add. And so that together makes the Bulletproof coffee. I knew about Bulletproof coffee. I know it sounds weird if you're hearing about it for the first time. It's actually really delicious. It's something that I drink almost every day now because it's so good, and it allows the caffeine to be metabolized more slowly. It also gives your brain healthy fats with the ghee, the butter, and the MCT oil. And so if you are a busy professional who drinks coffee, I highly encourage you to at least try Bulletproof coffee once. It's so simple, and it's a really effective way to up-level a routine that you're already doing. And the good news is that we're not even talking about taking away your caffeine, so don't worry. I know one of the questions I get asked all the time when I do the Eating for Energy sessions is busy. People afterwards are like, but I'm so busy and I have so much to do. Like, what do you think about caffeine? I can't stop. Like, please don't take away my caffeine, Kaitlin. I'm like, no, don't worry. And so going back to the Bulletproof coffee, I had heard about it years ago when I was doing CrossFit. And I mean, CrossFitters are already just kind of like intense, they always want to do everything like extra above and beyond. It's like, okay, sure. This is like some like fitness thing, right? Where you're just like counting your macros with your coffee. I'm like, whatever. So I didn't really think much of it at the time. I thought it was really weird. And so then fast forward a couple of years later, when I started getting more aware of and interested in learning about metabolic health, learning about brain health, understanding how just our fuel, like the really importance of our micro and macronutrients, how they literally make up every cell in our body, and the importance of fat for brain health in particular. And I had come across Dave Asprey, like I mentioned, and he had a whole experience where he was living in a moldy house, and started to get into the concept of mold, and realized later that that was what was contributing to his like massive amounts of inflammation and his inability to lose weight. And so he was doing a deep dive on mold, and then he uncovered that most of the mold in this country, and probably in the world, is laden with what's called mycotoxins. And unfortunately, that has nothing to do with if it's organic, if it's from a small batch farm, or where it's from. It's more simply how the beans are actually handled and dried and manufactured. It doesn't have so much to do with the quality like we would think it does. And so why that's important is because when I have this conversation with clients and I'm saying, asking if they drink coffee and if they'd like to learn about a way to up-level their coffee, they tell me, don't worry, Kaitlin, I buy like the local one. I buy the one that's a small batch, whatever. So I buy a really quote unquote high quality coffee. And the only way to know if your coffee is mycotoxin free is if it's tested for it. And you will look for that on the label, or you can look for that on the website. And I have a few that I'll share with you, a few brands that I recommend that are already proven and that test regularly. And if you do see it, you're looking for what's called a COA, a certificate of analysis, and that will show you the amount presence of mycotoxins and other things such as heavy metals. But there's no like label for this yet, unfortunately. I know the food labeling market and food market is always evolving, so maybe there will be one day, but not yet. And so the brand that I really like that you can buy, two brands that you can buy in most stores, is going to be Danger Coffee as well as Bulletproof Coffee. Both of those are, full disclosure, those are Dave Asprey brands, but they are tested and mold free. So that's a really good one. But the other ones I like, you can buy online. One of them is called Purity Coffee, just like it sounds. Their whole, shtick, if you will, is providing really clean coffee. And so you can buy that online. And then the one I really like, this is like I splurge coffee, I get to treat myself, is called Strong Coffee. And the reason why I really like it is because they have a mix that you can buy. It is in the form of instant coffee, but it also has in it the other things I mentioned. It has a medium chain, like the MCT oil and some other stuff. I forget what they add in there, but like a little bit of sweetener and a little bit of, they have like a chocolate one and a vanilla latte one. And the reason why I like that is when I'm traveling or on the road or just want something like extra yummy, it's so good. It makes me feel so alert and so clear without feeling extra jittery. So if that is something that you are interested in, those are the brands that I would recommend. But really what you want to do, what you can start to do is identify first how you feel after drinking your first cup of coffee. Do you notice an increase in anxiousness, like feeling anxiety, maybe the butterflies in your stomach? Do you notice any other physical signs such as your hands getting sweaty, maybe increase, perspiration with your head, your armpits, like just sweating a little bit? Do you notice that your thoughts start to become like quicker and joltier? That's kind of how it showed up for me, is that I just felt like, I felt the effects from the caffeine, but it wasn't really like a good feeling of caffeine. It was like oh my gosh, I think I've had too much caffeine all at once type feeling. And then also what you can notice too is, do you immediately have to go to the bathroom afterwards? That can be another sign, believe it or not, that your coffee might have mycotoxins in it. And so that's kind of a separate conversation. If you are somebody who's relying on coffee or caffeine to be able to go to the bathroom, number two, well, let's meet after, folks, right? But there are other things that would help support you, including focusing on hydration, making sure you're drinking enough water, maybe increasing some foods with magnesium to help, just naturally go to the bathroom. But don't feel like you need to completely overhaul rather your coffee routine. This is something that you can just start to notice. And when the time is right, you can explore other brands to really help yourself feel more alert. And the reason why I started drinking Bulletproof coffee is because I love it. I wanted all the benefits of coffee. There's a lot of really good micronutrients in there. One of them is called polyphenols. They also have some good antioxidants effects, so reducing inflammation. So, at its core, coffee's not something I think that people necessarily need to cut out. Although, I always reserve the right to get smarter. There are some things out there that I'll dive into in future episodes around caffeine in particular. But coffee is great, and it's been also correlated with longevity. People who drink coffee are shown to live longer on average. So I don't necessarily think it's something we should cut out right now, but how can we optimize it? The first way would be, as I've already chatted about, assess how your current coffee is making you feel. If you notice any of those things, anxiousness, jitters, any sort of internal turmoil there happening within your bowels, then you would definitely be a good candidate to optimize the source of your coffee that you're getting. Because this is like what I mentioned, is that just because it's a high quality, quote unquote, or local or a small batch does not mean it's mycotoxin free. It could be. So there's a chance that the kind that you're buying is okay. It could be batch dependent, depending on how that one was processed, or was it rainy on the field that day, that type of a thing. But these are mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are the small microscopic part of mold that we cannot see. And they're also the part that's the most toxic or harmful within the body. So they wreak havoc within the body. And it's one of the main areas that I see, across nutrition and other practitioners helping clients with really deep issues of inflammation, brain fog. And one of the number one sources can be the coffee that you're consuming, because we're consuming it, if you're consuming it regularly, likely on a daily basis. So it can be a really high exposure rate. Thus means when you optimize, you're going to get the biggest return on investment. And then the bulletproof side of it, adding in those extra things I mentioned, is just a nice to have, which I really do encourage everyone to try it at least once. And if you have any thoughts or questions on that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll send you my, quick and easy bulletproof making guide, because there is kind of an art to it. I learned the hard way that when you're blending the butter into the coffee, you want to make sure you're using a mason jar or something that has a taller side to the glass. Do not attempt to blend everything with a hand blender. I use a hand blender. Don't attempt to use a hand blender in a coffee mug, because speaking from experience, it just spews out the top and then you'll have a buttery countertop, and nobody likes that. But on another note, if you are curious about why bulletproof coffee, again, just to rehash that, those ingredients, the fat, high quality fat, and the nutrients in the ghee are really good for our brain health. And it helps you focus better. It helps you have more sustainable energy. It helps you think clearer. And also it helps to metabolize the caffeine more slowly, which can help just have a more stable impact from drinking coffee overall. Plus, then if you add the, scoop of collagen in it, then you're getting the benefits of the collagen as well. So increased joints and gut health as well too. So I hope you found this quick and dirty episode on coffee and why your coffee may be sabotaging your progress and your mental clarity helpful. I always strive to provide things, again, that are high return on investment. And this is one of the biggest areas that I see that's completely not even overlooked, it's just totally unknown to a lot of people. And so if you want any more information on where to find out good information on mycotoxins or learn more about what they are, feel free to shoot me a note and on LinkedIn, and we can connect that way. Otherwise, I'll drop the names of my recommended clean coffee sources here in the show notes, so be sure to look there. And as always, if you found this episode helpful, please consider leaving a 5-star review and let me know what was your biggest takeaway. That just helps me reach more people as I'm getting this podcast up and running. And I know more busy professionals out there, they want to be healthier. They are looking for simple and easy ways to optimize their health while still achieving everything in their life. So until next time, my friends, stay healthy. Just a reminder that the information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended to be medical advice. It should not be used to treat, diagnose, or cure any medical condition. Always consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your health regimen or medications. Kaitlin Borncamp and Health Supply LLC, DBA Feel Great with Kait disclaim any liability for outcomes resulting from the use of this content.